So I've been running ultra marathons since 2014. I started this channel in January of 2015 to kind of document my journey in ultra running and try to persuade other people to get into ultra running, because at that time, while it had grown significantly since its infancy, it was still not a really big thing on the internet. I was one of the first channels to focus on ultra running, and if you did a search on ultra marathons, more than likely you were gonna find my YouTube channel. One of the very first videos I created was absolutely terrible, but it was a video titled, "What I Wish I Knew Before My First Ultra Marathon." I tried to do too much, sound was terrible, and it's been up on this channel for a very long time. Kind of embarrassing. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you everything I wish I knew before running my first ultra marathon, 12 years after running my first ultra marathon. So go ahead and buckle up. Follow me. Let's go. Ultra marathons are hard, and it makes perfect sense that you would have to have a lot of mental toughness to complete one. I didn't know before my first ultra marathon that it was going to be as tough as it was. Once I passed the known distance, the distance that the longest distance I've run up until that point, it was a whole new ball game. It got very difficult. Had no idea how my body was going to react, my mind was going to react once I passed that known demarcation of how far I'd run before. Before I ran my first ultra marathon, I wish I would have trained a lot more back-to-backs, a lot more very long, slow runs, just to prepare myself for spending that much time on my feet. You're out there a long time, especially when you're 50, 100 mile plus territory. It's very difficult to train for that, to prepare your mind for what it's going to be like after 20 hours of running without sleep. It's just tough. But being able to prepare as best you can is definitely going to help you fight the fatigue and fight the demons you're going to be fighting as you battle through the night and push on to distances you never thought you could run before. One of the most underrated things that goes hand in hand with ultra running is walking and time on feet. I think more people think about, especially when they first get into training for their first ultra marathon, it's just about mileage, piling up mileage. While mileage is a result of the training, it's not the reason for the training. It's not the goal. The goal is to accumulate time on your feet. I like to get to a point where I'm running 10 to 12 hours a week, and that's mixed with power hiking, walking, running, all of that mixed together. I'm not worried about the mileage. The mileage will happen. It's more about how much time can I spend on my feet preparing my body for the load that it's gonna have to deal with in a race. You need that time on your feet. You need the time for your muscles, your fascia, joints, ligaments, bone, all of that to have the adaptation kind of set in from training. All that training, the accumulation of all of that is what's going to make you durable. Durability is the most underrated thing I think people don't think about. I think they think about being tough enough. I think they think about being trained enough, being in good enough shape. Durability is what gets you through ultra marathons. If you are super durable, if your body is prepared, you are going to be able to continue to move forward and deal with the pressures, the damage, just the forces that your body is going to have to go through to finish an ultra marathon. So standing at your desk, standing as much as you can during the day, not sitting. I have a standing desk, and I've talked about this on this channel a ton. I try to stand as much as I possibly can during training blocks, just to get more time on my feet. More time on my feet, standing, exercising, all that is just gonna make me more durable. And so when I'm standing for 24 or 30 or 40 hours, my body's gonna be more adapted to the forces that I'm applying on it on race day. Now this should go without saying that a majority, at least 80% of your running and your training for an ultra marathon should be at the conversational zone 2 pace. I know you guys have all heard the Maffetone method, zone 2, the 80-20, whatever you want to call it. A majority should be done like this, a nice jog, putting in that time, logging those hours, logging those miles. But you forget about that 20% that needs to be in the form of a little bit more higher intensity. For years, I avoided it. I just thought logging long, slow miles was going to help me. Avoiding the painful threshold runs, tempo runs, sprints, things like that. It's very easy to do when you get into worrying about logging miles and always wanting to see how much you can get to show off on Strava, and avoiding the dreaded, painful lung burning that comes with these faster efforts. You still need to do that. You need to show up to the line in the best shape you can. That helps you with altitude, it helps you with climbing, it helps you with everything that you're trying to accomplish in an ultra marathon. Showing up in the best possible shape you can doesn't come from those long, slow miles. That helps build the durability, that helps build the endurance to be able to make it as far as you need to make it. But you need to also be in really good cardiovascular shape. It really does help quite a bit. Helps raise your VO2 max, which is just helps that engine be stronger, helps you be more fit. Don't sleep on the 20%. So, after races, the after race blues is definitely a real thing. After you've completed these just huge efforts and done something you never thought you could do, there is a downside to it. A lot of times it's a loss of motivation. It's a what do I do next? I know marathoners go through it a lot. It happens in ultra marathons too. You run your first 100 and you finish it, and then it's just kind of like, what now? I've spent so long, sometimes years, sometimes decades, like myself, waiting to get to a point to be mentally ready, physically ready to do a race. You do it, and then you're left in this void of, who am I? Am I a pretender? Am I a one and done person? Do I go back to living a normal life and forget about running? This is where you got to tap into your why. Finding your why is so important. Is it for accolades? Is it for being known as an ultra runner? Is it to stunt on all your friends and family who said you couldn't do it, who thought you were crazy, and you give up now because once you've done it, you've proved that you could do it, and then you're done? Or are you looking for a life-changing activity that really becomes your personality? It becomes who you are. It's something you train for every day, whether or not it's in the gym, it's on the trails, or it's on the roads. You're doing a little bit every day to maintain who you are as a runner, as a trail runner, as an ultra runner. Because if you're going to be an ultra running, you can't just dip your toe in and out. It's something you got to work for all the time. Now, can you take breaks? Yeah, 100%. After you finish a 100-miler, you should take time off. Relax, stretch, work out, do other activities, hike, walk. Do those things to help keep your body physically healthy and your mind physically healthy. Some people get into this so much they feel like they need to do an ultra every weekend or every month and just constantly be doing them because you become addicted to the feeling of accomplishing it. But you got to be smart and you got to know your why. And knowing your why is going to be the reason you keep coming back to doing the sport that we love so much. So when you're feeling down after these huge accomplishments, think back to why you're doing it. Focus on that, because that's also going to be what helps you finish these races when you continue to do more of them. Let's go. Ultra marathons where you're spending 5, 8, 12, 24 plus hours on your feet leave a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong. And because I love being self-deprecating, I'm going to share with you some of my biggest mistakes over the last 10 plus years in running ultra marathons. I don't think that's tequila in that bottle. Gross. So the first big mistake I'll share with you was in my first JFK 50. Super excited, legit trail run for about 15.5 miles on the AT. Then it dumps out on the C&O Canal for 27 miles and then finishes on the roads for a rolling 8-miler. Awesome race. I've done it 3 times, but the first time I did it, I had gotten myself a whole lot of Tailwind and thinking nutritionally I could save myself maybe some stomach issues, because I had trained with it a little bit and had not had any issue. So I figured, you know, I'll just fuel with Tailwind the whole time. Easy code, cracked. That's all I gotta do. So I did that for the first 19 miles, not taking in any real food, nothing else, just Tailwind. Because, you know, it touts itself as its calories. You got the calories in you. It'll work. Well, after I got to about mile 38, pretty much thought I was gonna die. I was in such a calorie deficit. I couldn't do math anymore. I was convinced that I was not gonna make the cutoff. And I wasn't anywhere near it, but like everything was completely screwed up because of that, and it was miserable. So, I've mentioned this in videos. Nutrition is super important. Don't think you can just get away with what those companies that claim they have their nutrition, just mix it with water and you'll be good. You won't be good. And just to make sure you get the point, you can know something, experience something, and an ultra still make the same mistake. So about 8 years later, I did, maybe 7 years later, was working with UCAN, trying out some of the products they haven't released to the public yet. And I thought I was gonna do basically the same thing. So I tried fueling on UCAN because it works so well in long training runs. So in the Belmonte 50 miler, which is a double marathon, you know, with 4 mountain climbs, thought I would do the same thing, same result. Hard bonk, could not really rally and recover because of that, and then ended up hurting my knee, and it just was all she wrote and dropped at mile 38, which is the worst case scenario in a race, especially a 50 miler. Quite the party that's going on back in here. Littered, little tons. The woods are just littered with bottles, hill, trains. All right, that's got nothing to do with this video. I don't like litter. I feel like I need to go get a trash bag. Now the next problem I've run into, major problem, was in the Yeti 100 2023. I've made a video about it, which has made its rounds, and I get tons of comments when I run the Yeti about that video. And that's when the hurricane hit. It came up, not the most recent one, not 2024, 2022. Sorry, 2022. I finished the Yeti 2023. The guy run his brain right now. But at 2022, the Yeti 100, the hurricane was coming up, which was going to be bringing tons of rain, tons of winds. It had never really entered my mind. I brought a rain jacket and thought, you know, I'll just cover up with the coat, rain jacket, it'll be good. I mean, it's rain. We've all run in the rain. And first half of the race, fantastic. Ran probably one of the best races of my life, that first 56 miles. And as we started to run in the night to make the climb up to White Top to the 100K mark, the winds were absolutely whipping. The rain was coming down sideways, and it was extremely cold. So we had high 30s, very low 40s, and just being soaked to the bone. Joe, who I was running with, threw on a tactical sweatshirt and at the 15-mile mark and made our way up. And I didn't even think about it. I thought about it a little bit, but I was like, oh, maybe fine. It got so cold as we started to go up the mountain. Joe got hypothermic, and at that point I was still fine. We were trying to recover him because as we went down to the trail, he was just, you know, jackhammering super hard. And I knew that, you know, from my search and rescue training and first responder stuff here, it's going to be bad. If we got up on the mountain with no cell signal, it was still like another 7 miles to the next checkpoint, 7 miles back to that point. There just wasn't going to be much in the way of help, and it could get dangerous very quickly. So I made the call, you know, obviously I had to say, hey, look, we're going to have to stop this race. I know it broke his heart for a long time. You know, for me, it is what it is. It's a race. At the end of the day, it's running. It's not worth a life, and or hurt yourself severely bad. So, lesson learned there. Didn't have any crew really, and we didn't prepare for how cold it was going to be. They had a 50% drop rate, and a race that should not even come close to that. And that just shows you how bad it got. And those people who had people for them to kind of change clothes and keep warm, I think they fared much, much better. And then there were some absolute beasts that just battled through that, and holy crap, I can tell you how tough you have to be to do that. But think about it. Really prepare for what the weather is going to be coming up. Just don't make it a second thought. Really think about what you're going to need at what time during the race, how cold it's going to be, the elevation, the possible weather during that point in the race. You really got to take that into account. You know, this next one was not during the race. It was training for a race, and I was on a day kind of like today, overcast, except it was very humid but cool. And I took 2 water bottles of going out for a 19-20 mile run. Had a buddy with me. We just took it easy. I mean, easy 19-mile run. Those 2 bottles should have easily gone through, and during that time, got back to the house, realized I really only went through 1 of the bottles and didn't feel bad. Nothing would have alerted me that something was wrong. Went to go take a shower, got out, went to go take a pee, blood. And I can tell you that was scary. I had no clue as to why that happened. Went to the emergency care. They had to put 2 full IV bags in me. And then I was, feeling like a racehorse. But that was extremely scary. I was severely dehydrated. Could have very easily had some bad stuff happen to me and not even had known it. So even in training and even in races, you need to make sure that you're fueling, the first thing I said, and hydrating, making sure you're getting your electrolytes, sodium, all that stuff in, because you could be, putting yourself in hyponatremia where you're drinking too much water and diluting your sodium levels in your body. So it's something you really seriously need to take into consideration. Being lazy or just not thinking about things can be very dangerous. Make it a part of your routine, just like, on the hour, making sure you're taking your salt tabs if you need it. You definitely come across some pretty strange things running in industrial areas. The brawl was a little unsettling. This next one happened just recently in the Devil Dogwood Hunters. Now, ultimately, I think it was something that was kind of unavoidable. 1 in a billion shot, but the strap under my gaiter that I wear on my shoes, Gaiters, to keep crap from getting in your shoes and socks, snagged a root and injured my ankle pretty badly. It was a very, very cold day down in the high teens,
and didn't really feel it at first because the adrenaline of the day, but it came back to bite me and had me drop about halfway through the race, and that was extremely unfortunate. But the lesson here is to think about the gear you're wearing. What are the potential risks, whether it be rubbing, ill-fitting stuff, how do things change when they get wet or cold or hot, feet swelling with the shoes, are your feet gonna not fit the same? That happens a lot to people. Blisters, hats, gloves, jackets, the gear, clothing you have on, how all that changes. So I have some tights I wear that if they get wet, they become saggy and will cause severe rubbing and chafing. Think about all the gear you take with you. You should be tested, and you should think about all the situations it's going to be in the weather, whether it's wet, cold, hot, whatever it may be. Just think it through. Try to make sure you avoid any bad stuff. There's another bra. Not sure what's going on out here. Definitely, it's a first for me. All right, so this last one is not one that I have to deal with often, but it does come up during races sometimes. And that's expecting certain foods that from the aid station. Ultimately, we're responsible for ourselves, and aid stations should be stocked, but depending on where you are in the race, aid stations have set menu plans for certain times. You may miss something you were expecting. Like me, I love certain types of food. They're not always there. You might get there and the bacon's gone. You were expecting bacon, bacon's gone. That's happened to me. It sucks. Pierogies. Any of the things that you need, that you expect to be fueling at a partner race, to be at an aid station, may not happen. That could throw you off. Depending on how tired you are or where you are mentally, it could cause you to just pout, walk off, not eat enough, not find something else. Ultimately, you're responsible for yourself. So if you need to carry something else on you that is kind of a go-to backup emergency fueling to get you to the next aid station to see if something's there, you need to do that. It's extremely important because that could completely throw your race off. Just having that one bad thing happen could put you in a bad headspace for quite a while and cause you to bonk. Now that we've talked about getting to the starting line, we've talked about executing our plan and making sure our gear works, let's talk about the mental side. This is where everything comes together. The mental ability to battle through everything you're feeling, from the blisters to the nausea, to the cramps, to the fatigue. How do you get through that? Well, let's discuss it. Let's go.
Running distances of 100 plus are difficult, and it doesn't matter if you've done 1 or 10. Every new challenge is difficult, and you have to follow the things that made you successful in the past to be successful in the future. You can't fake an ultra. You can't. Your body has to be able to put up with the damage that you're going to be doing to it, the stress that you're going to be putting on it. You can't fake those type of things. So first and foremost, this wasn't really one of my top 10. I wanted to lay that out there, that no matter how many that you've done, no matter how many ultras that you've done, you're always going to have to show up to the line ready to put on a fight. So first, train the mind like armor. So this is what I suggest to people who rely heavily on music, rely heavily on run groups. I would do mind hardening type exercises. For years, I would run on this treadmill with no music, no TV, nothing, and I would just run for 4, 5, 6 hours. And I did that specifically to be able to live inside my own mind for a long time. And that's ultimately, for me, one of the biggest challenges in an ultramarathon, is really being able to be inside my own head and stay focused on the goal and not get derailed by this hurts, or I'm bored, or I'm lonely and I don't want to do this anymore. So doing things like keeping yourself from having to lean on music or other things that you typically lean on to get through workouts, I would suggest leaving those out. Running in extreme heat, running in extreme cold, running when it's raining, doing those things, putting yourself through very hard things outside of just the training itself, prepares you for race day, because you don't get to pick the weather on race day. And if you've watched this channel for any number of years, you've seen the ultras that I've run that have been in not tornadoes, hurricanes, freezing temps, extreme heat. Running a tornado would be crazy. I haven't done that yet, but I'm sure some of you have had tornado warnings wherever you are. But put yourself through those hard things, and it's definitely going to help you. Number 2, running deliberate failure type drills. So I don't suggest us doing a ton, and there's definitely some arguments to be made on this. Training occasionally on long runs, fasted, or trying to make yourself bonk, and know that feeling, because when you're in an ultra marathon, one of the biggest fights you can kind of run into is if you don't fuel properly and you're bonking, you've run out, and you're having to push through that because you don't want to eat, you don't feel good, but you have to eat to feel better. And honestly, those are some of the biggest hurdles that people have to overcome in ultras, as being in that bonking stage. And you'll bonk multiple times in a 50 or 100 mile race, and plus, obviously. So it's good to know how to handle them, to know that it's going to be okay. Typically, when you're in that state, you are worried that your day is over. But that's the thing about ultras. If you push long enough and you troubleshoot properly, you can get through things. And that's, being resilient, training for it, and understanding that it's going to happen, and being able to troubleshoot those type of things, putting yourself in those situations and training will help you be more apt to be able to solve those and stay grounded and centered in an ultra and not panic, especially if you don't have crew or someone to kind of talk you through, or an experienced crew. You can have crew that are not ultra marathons, but if you don't have like an experienced ultra marathon person on your crew or with you to kind of help talk you through what you're going through and to kind of solve it when you have runner's brain, it can be problematic to run into that situation. So I definitely suggest people work on that. It doesn't come naturally. You got to train for it. Pre-race anxiety. This is something that I dealt with a lot. Over-planning, overpacking, thinking it all through to a point of really making more stress on yourself. I suggest writing things down, making a list, really working through what it is you need, really what you need. I suggest working off the aid stations. I think that relieves a lot of stress. It does for me. I used to always think that I needed to bring everything that I needed, which I still kind of do, but now I realize, and it's just through wisdom, that these races prepare and think these things out. And there's so many, from sweet and savory to the things you need on the tables. They think about that, where you are in the race, what time it is. They put a lot of thought in these, at least most races do. Lean on that, and I think it will help you. Now, I know winter races are extreme heat races where you have to go from hot to cold and cold to hot and wet to dry or hot. Like, there's a lot of clothing things you have to do, especially if you're doing a point-to-point and aid stations and drop bags and things like that. You should think those things through. Things you're going to need: change of socks, shoes, underwear, shorts, shirts, hats, sunglasses, suntan lotion, lube. All of those things are definitely things you don't want to overthink. I mean, you don't want to forget them, but you don't want to overthink it to the point where you're just stressed, because I think that leads to poor sleep. I think it leads to unnecessary wear on your mind and your body prior to a race. Remember, you love running. You're doing this. This is a celebration for most of us. It's a celebration of training and just showing yourself what you can do. And overthinking it, especially for those of us in the middle to the back of the pack, like, there's no reason to put yourself through so much stress to the point that you just make it miserable. And so I suggest not doing that. Yoga, meditation, making sure you get enough sleep, doing all these things is really going to help you in race day. So 4, throw out the outcome goals. Throw those things out. I've learned, instead of panicking over, I gotta be under 24 hours. I gotta be under this. I have to get this time by this time. Like, I understand why people do that, because you're trying to stay on track. I think it's more beneficial, and I've done this through myself, is doing the things that will make you successful. So if you're in a race, what is some goals that are going to be not outcome, but process goals? So process, staying hydrated, staying fueled, not going too fast. If you do those little things, the end result will get you where you want to go. So some days the sub 24 might be in you. Some days it's not. You can't control the weather, but it's heat, rain, mud, traffic jams on, single track trails. There's so many things that can kind of fall outside of what you can control. To stress constantly on time is just going to be not very productive. So doing the things you can do. I'm going to smile going through aid stations. I'm going to make sure I thank all the aid station people. I'm going to make sure that I fuel myself every 45 minutes with this amount of calories. I'm going to make sure that I take in this amount of water and this amount of hydration, the salt, all of that type of stuff. If you do those things, I think those are the stepping stones to get you to your goal, and not stress. Because when you're stressing on time, you may forget those things, which will then obviously hurt your outcome goal. So process goals, focus on process goals and things you're going to do. That will help tremendously. All right. I wrote down here the 10-10-10 rule. So this is really about give yourself another 10 minutes and reassess. Give yourself another 10 minutes and reassess. This is something that I have to focus on because I definitely will get in my feelings. I will definitely get into panic mode. You just start to lose your brain. Things get hard. It gets hot. You're struggling. The ankle issue that you've had is getting worse and worse and worse. So you're projecting out how bad it's going to be, not taking into account that maybe it will get better. This is what happened to me in my last 100. Rolling my ankle and it hurting tremendously and getting in my head. Could I've gotten through it? I'm not sure. But I did convince myself that I wouldn't be able to finish 100 on it. I could have definitely pushed further, but giving yourself another 10 minutes is something that I think that we all need to do, because I think we make very panicked decisions where we start to think, oh no, my day is gone. Giving yourself a little more time, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just keep pushing. I think it's definitely going to help you reassess in a more thoughtful way. Listen to your aid station, your crew, the people that are there with you. And if you know that you're this type of person, which I can be, telling them ahead of time, this is something I failed to do, that, hey, I'm probably going to say this, 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 and this, or I'm going to feel this way at mile 30 or 38 or 40 or 50. Being aware of your weak spots and what your mind has a tendency to do, because again, this is a mind battle. Nobody can physically help you get through the physical part, but they can help you through the mind stuff. And the mind stuff is the most important, because ultimately the mind stuff is what makes you quit. If you're not, actually injured, the mind stuff is what actually gets you. And some people have such a strong mind, they could be extremely physically injured and still finish. And my hat's off to those people, because I've seen it and it's crazy. And I've seen people that have hurt themselves early in a race, like mile 30, and finish 100. I can't express how much of a tough person they are to battle not only the physical part of that, but the mental side of that. So definitely do the 10-10-10 rule. Just give you 10 more minutes, and eventually you're going to cut through more miles, and then you're going to feel better. That's the thing about ultras. If you're feeling good, if you're feeling bad, you don't have to worry about it, because it will change eventually, no matter which one it is. Evidence log. So your mind will go to a point where it starts to talk down, where you're starting to feel negative, you're going slow, I'm not going to make it, I don't feel good. You start this really negative internal talk, and you need to start pushing through those things by talking yourself through what you have done in the past. So pulling forward, I've completed this many hundreds. I've felt this way before. I've trained hard. I have my crew waiting for me. I just got 8 more miles and they'll be up there and I'll be okay. And just trying to replace that negative self-talk with the evidence log of things that you have done and that you can do and that you do know. And this, again, the mental side of this struggle is where you need to get. If you're at mile 70, focusing on, I've done 70 miles. I am almost done. Believe it or not, any kind of thing like that is going to help shut that voice off in your head that is going into survival mode. It's fight or flight. Your body and your mind are not wanting to do this. It's not a 5K. You're not running like a fairy down the trail for 100 miles. You're going to have to fight through things. Your body's going to tell you that you're dying, that you got to stop. You need to find a way and have those tools in your tool chest to pull out, to talk yourself into it. Tell your crew that also. All of that really, really helps. Mantras. Now, sometimes these things are goofy. A lot of times with me, mantras are more about counting steps. But people do, you know, the relentless forward progress, 1 foot in front of the other, which I say all the time in this. This is the part I train for. I talk about this all the time, and I'm feeling really, really bad. I'm like, you paid for this, dummy. You paid to do this. Why are you being a little you-know-what? You paid for this. This is what you're here for. It's not easy. It isn't meant to be easy, and you're here because it's hard. If you wanted something easy, you would have jumped in the turkey trot. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be tough with yourself with those type of things. But with me, I have to get down to the point where I'm going to run to that tree and I'll just count steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 until I get to that tree. There's times I got to get through that are like that, where I'm literally counting steps. And I probably use that one more than, and it's not really a mantra, it's just a way for me to occupy my mind and how to get to the next thing and the next thing and to the next thing until I go through some sort of mental change and I can get out of that. So I would definitely prepare yourself with that. Find out what works for you. You can work in training and, again, pushing yourself through hard things. Practice this stuff in hundreds or 50 milers or 50Ks because there's plenty of time to do it. Practice what works for you. And that was kind of two put into one there. The micro winning mindset. Want to shrink them out and cut it up into parts. Running to the next tree, running to the next lamppost, running to that person that you see up there. Try to pass them. Breathing in for, breathing out for, playing games, naming animals, counting how many steps, which is what I use. My buddy Joe has brought out cards that make you talk about like your favorite albums, your top 5 favorite albums, all those type of things that just occupy your mind. So those are kind of like 7 and 8. And I definitely suggest being able to occupy your mind with positive things and good things, and do not let the bad things start to creep in, because those are what you start talking about. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. When I get up here, I'm going to quit. When I get to the aid station, I'm going to quit. It's okay. Nobody cares. I've done 60 miles. That's enough. Again, nobody cares. I put in a good fight today. It's just not my day. And these are things that my mind go to when I start to get tired, especially when I'm by myself. When I'm not by myself and I'm with someone, it helps me stay out of that mindset, because I can just go quiet and they can start talking and helping me through that. So prep for that. Extremely important. These things aren't just like, well, you could do it, not do it. These things you have to be able to master to get through ultramarathons. 9, DNF Debrief Protocol. DNFs are a way to learn. Most of these things that I'm telling you, if not all of them, are things I learned through failure. Success, you can learn some things. You don't learn a ton from a success, but it's the failures where you really get to learn what happened, the after actions, what broke. Was it the body, gear, your nutrition? What did you not do? And ultimately, when you hit a DNF, there are some things you didn't do. Sometimes you want to package that up as it just wasn't my day, but if you are honest with yourself, there are things that you did not do, or things that were out of your control, that next time you can prepare for or mitigate. Fueling, hydration, going out too fast, not wearing the proper gear, shoes that you bought are not ones you need to run in hundreds, and I got major blisters. Like those type of things, you need to really take those to heart, because they will come up again, especially if you're doing the same race again. And so, insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Learn from your mistakes. That's definitely something that will help you. Because if you do run ultras long enough, you're going to DNF. If you're not, then, Either you didn't push hard enough or you didn't challenge yourself enough. Now, not everyone goes through them. I get that some are just beasts, and I know there's some of you out there that'll run, 50 hundreds a year and you just crank through them. And you guys are special butterflies. You're unicorns, and we all bow to you. So, number 10. This one is one that you gotta be able to master, and that's kind of immediate reframe and kind of doing a micro comeback plan. That's what I'm going through right now, where you start after a DNF or after a race that you didn't hit your goal, is absorb it. Feel the pain. Do an after action. Reframe it, whether or not it be publicly. I do that with you all. I tell you all what happened, but you also got to do it in your mind and go through what was successful, what you did well. Go through what you did not do well, and be honest. This is a time to be honest, but you need to find a way to come back, especially if you've had a string of bad races. How are you going to come back from those? And so to me, it's going back to what I love. What got me to where I am is maybe some shorter races, some 50Ks, 50 milers. Get back out on the trail. Find your pathway back. So do some things that are kind of not a stressful thing. There's no pressure. Sign up for some races. I just did the Marine Corps Marathon. No pressure in that to me. It was just so much fun to just run a race and not feel the weight of 75 more miles after I finished the marathon, that I can just go enjoy, look at other people enjoying running. And it kind of tapped into what got me into running, so that I can kind of build my way back. Again, this is a mental thing. Ultras are a mental thing, and you have to kind of find ways to keep yourself in the game and not burn out. I see a lot of people that burn out and just stop doing it. And that's sad, because ultimately running in general is what I love. Running on the trails, going out on the trail for a 10-mile run, just sets me up for such a great day. It makes me so happy to be out there no matter the distance. The ultras are just kind of a way to celebrate my love of running. They're not the foundation of my running. And I think if we can do that, if we can find a way to build back, and that's what I'm doing right now. Like I said, my buddy Joe, and this is what I love about this channel, is I spend all this time in these years kind of documenting my journey to help inspire and motivate other people. But when that comes back to me, I love it, because so many of you share stories with me. When I see you out at races, you tell me that you got into ultras because of videos I watched, or you're running the race that we're currently in because of videos that you watched of mine. And having somebody like Joe reach out and say, hey buddy, next year let's go do the Daytona 100, and it's a race I want to do. And I'm like, you know what, I'm at a point right now where I can say yeah, and that gives me the carrot a year from now to train really hard this next year. That first point I made, train really hard this next year and make a legitimate try at the race, not some half-assed, oh, I didn't have enough time, and just crush it. And understand that you get out of this what you put into it. You can't fake ultras. You could fake a lot of other races if you're just finishing. Ultras, especially at the 100-mile distance, you can't fake. And still understand they're going to be hard. No matter how well prepared you are, they're going to be hard. So be smart, be kind to yourself, and let's get after it. Those are my my top 10 things I can tell you to help get you through ultra running. And I appreciate y'all watching this. And if you need some more tips, some more tricks in running, or you just want to see me be successful or make a fool out of myself, go ahead and click over here or over here and watch some of those races live. Well, they won't be live. They're live when I film them, but they're not live now. You get that. You know how videos work. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.